Thank you for joining me on this Saturday morning. I'm meteorologist Brian Shields. Thank you for your trust with these systems, and thank you for sharing this channel to get the word out, especially through Jamaica, which I'm still pretty optimistic, and I'm going to get into that in Jamaica. Cayman Islands, I'm going to break it down. We're going to go island by island to give you the specifics on that. So you can see Jamaica here, and you can see this flaring up. This is Tropical Storm Ian, and it is bubbling up, still dealing with some wind shear, so not the best conditions in the short term for development. And about 3 days ago, we were talking about how I'm sort of optimistic for Jamaica. Totally still am. So that is some good news I want to pass along. Here's the latest track. And again, tropical storm watches are up for Jamaica. And then this will lift up toward the Cayman Islands. Still kind of a wait and see what happens there. But I'm going to break that down again, as I mentioned, in depth for Jamaica and the Cayman Islands. Then this will lift up toward Western Cuba. I'm watching you. Then eventually Florida. Florida impacts are more likely, but as to where in Florida, it's maybe even a bigger question mark right now. Some of the big models take it into South and Central Florida. Others want to take it more back toward the Panhandle. That's a pretty big spread down the road. Look how active it is now. Remember this quiet hurricane season about a month ago? Not the case now. 4 named systems, of course. Ian in the Caribbean. We're watching up to the north, Fiona, Gaston out there, and then you have Hermine off the coast. My friends across, say, Barbados, Trinidad and Tobago, up through Puerto Rico, St. Kitts and Nevis, down through Grenada, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, St. Lucia, Montserrat. We're all in pretty good shape. Virgin Islands, just scattered showers and storms, so we're good in the Eastern Caribbean. Guyana, good as well. Now, we do have those tropical storm watches up for Jamaica, hurricane watches up for Cayman Islands, and then they will be expanded to include parts of the Yucatan of Mexico. It should be north of my friends in Belize, and watching out for some watches and eventual warnings for parts of Cuba. Step by step. All right, this is the American model. This is Monday morning, and this is going to keep a system south and then west of Jamaica. So that is some good news overall, that this would be west of Jamaica, but very close to the Cayman Islands, especially Grand Cayman. And as I mentioned, I'm going to break that down specifically. Then this will work to the north. This is Tuesday morning. Tuesday morning, this takes a hurricane that is strengthening, lifting it from the Cayman Islands right into Western Cuba. And then what happens after this is, well, the GFS wants to bring this more toward the Panhandle of Florida or the Big Bend at this point. The GFS has really been all over the place. You see it here. This is by Wednesday morning. What it's doing is there's a front to the north, and it's saying, hey, this front is kind of weak, so I'm going to just keep drifting up to the north. And that's what the GFS is saying. The European's different. It's still picking up on a strong front, and then that will lift to the north, and in the Caribbean, we're all in good shape. Now, here's the European model. This is Sunday evening, and this is still south and west of Jamaica. That is good news for Jamaica. Please pass that along to your friends and family. I'll break down Jamaica in a second, but this does lift close to the Cayman Islands, potentially as a strong tropical storm or hurricane. This is Monday evening, trying to leave the Cayman Islands and moving into western and maybe even central Cuba. And then by Tuesday morning, still around Cuba, and then eventually this is going to lift its way up into the general direction. It would lift its way up into the general direction of South Florida or Central Florida. Big spread on those models because they're having a hard time with that front. All right, specifically, my friends in Jamaica, no hurricane winds. West side, we're going to have some of the gustier winds. It just depends on some of those kind of rain bands that squeak in. Most of the weather is off to the west of us. But again, no hurricane winds. If you get some rain, 1 to 3 inches of rain possible. So we will get some of those gustier winds in spots. Treasure Beach on the south side, Montego Bay on the north side to the west. That's where we could see some of those rain squalls, but no hurricane winds. Those are going to be really to the west, not even to the south. Most of the tropical storm force winds will also be offshore, so that is good news. We'll watch out for some scattered rain. Now, my friends in the Cayman Islands, worse weather in our western sections where we could get 6 to 10 inches of rain and flooding. Watching out, of course, for that coastal flooding, which is going to be a high potential. Late Sunday into Monday, that's the greatest risk of getting some of those impacts. So as we watch things along our western zones, we get over toward Georgetown, up toward the West Bay. In Grand Cayman, we're going to have some of the winds 75 miles per hour plus. Hurricane conditions, so you want to make those hurricane preps today to be without power, as well as we get over toward, say, Gun Bay, as we get over toward Collier's Beach, for example, winds at about 65 miles per hour plus. Then we get over toward our smaller islands, and you could see here that not nearly as much, but still make those tropical storm preps, because we could even have some gust on both these islands as we work our way into Sunday night into Monday, close to hurricane force. So Cayman Islands make some of the hurricane preps. Here you can see the tropical storm force wind probabilities. They are increasing. We're definitely going to get tropical storm force winds. Cayman Islands up through Cuba, then a little more uncertain, but increasing as we get into Florida. Look at Jamaica. Again, the tropical storm force winds, sustained winds, they're going to stay offshore. Yeah, we could get some gusts, but they're staying offshore of Jamaica. Thank you for trusting me in this process with forecasting this. This will work its way toward the Cayman Islands, where hurricane force winds are, the chance of that is getting higher and higher as we go out in time. And then up to the north, big question mark. Hurricane force winds are highly likely Western Cuba. You need to make those hurricane preps. Not seeing any chance of hurricane force winds, Yucatan, or even down toward Belize. This is the earliest reasonable arrival time of tropical storm force winds. But in Jamaica, again, that's the sustained tropical storm force winds are offshore. This is from my friends in the National Hurricane Center, this graphic, and they always like to get people kind of ahead of the game. But tropical storm force sustained winds are not going to happen in Jamaica, but we're going to be seeing that again at least in the Cayman Islands, and then, yeah, at least tropical storm force winds in a good portion of Florida down the road. All right, that covers that. How about Fiona in Canada? Thinking of our friends in Bermuda and Canada that had to deal with Fiona on the backside of what we saw down in the Caribbean. Again, some scenes of damage, of course, coming out of Canada. If you're from Canada, thank you for going through the process with me with this storm. We're thinking of you this morning. Again, watches, warnings, all that good stuff is the storm's already there. I mean, it's been there, and we've seen some of the scenes of damage, so thinking of you. Thank you for being part of this channel. Thank you for trusting me in this process. Thinking of you over toward the Cayman Islands, Jamaica, a little bit better news. I will do my best to keep you posted. Thank you for sharing this channel, and have a good day ahead.